Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I just want to give you guys another trip report, this time with psilocybin mushrooms. I'm going to preface by saying I don't recommend anyone try it. Always do your research before putting anything into your body. And if you do decide to use them, treat them with respect. So, with that being said, I ate about a quarter of an ounce, which is a lot. It was about 7.2 grams back in December. It was the day after Christmas, actually, and I think up until this point, it's the deepest I've ever went on mushrooms. So I actually took these kind of on a whim. I decided the night before I was either gonna eat mushrooms or do something else, but I ate them because I had a good setting and environment the day I took them. So my family went on vacation for a couple of days, so I had the house to myself and there were no distractions and it was quiet. So I decided that was a good environment for me to have a trip in. So going into it, I didn't have a lot of expectations, and sometimes I think that's the best way to go into a trip. So I spent about 20 minutes or so walking around outside, out in nature, and I found that being outside during come-up sort of helps me stay calm. I'd sort of, listen to lo-fi music or some sort of calming music to help keep my nerves stable. And my metabolism is pretty fast, so I expected to be coming up by now, but I didn't feel anything yet. So I went back inside, back up to my bedroom, and I turned all the lights off, put on my headphones, and just waited for the trip to kick in. And throughout my experience with mushrooms, my music choice ends up being something more along the lines of binaural beats or certain frequencies, or just something that has a constant tone for me to focus on. And I found that having like a uniform sound tends to help me stay in a meditative mindset more and help me think about issues a lot more. And so for this trip, I used a theta wave meditation. I just played that on repeat. It was like an hour loop, so I just played that over and over again. So I'm laying down, I have the theta waves on, and maybe 40 minutes go by, and I still don't really feel anything. And so, I tell myself, all right, I'll give myself a few more minutes. I'll wait for it to kick in. And a few minutes after I said that, then they started working. And the first thing I noticed was I started hearing like some electronic music. And it was kind of sounded like there was a mini me in my brain acting like a little DJ. And so that continued for a while. And then I also started breathing differently. I shifted from breathing from my chest down to breathing from my diaphragm. And this has also been something that mushrooms have taught me in the past as well. This way I'm able to take in a lot more air by letting my stomach fill up. So once I did that, I basically ended up unintentionally giving myself an entire breathwork session. And this is all I did for the next 5 hours in my bed. And this is not an understatement when I say that this is probably the most primal that I've ever felt in my life. And I was breathing deep with every inhale, every exhale. I was just letting out this intense primal growl from deep within. And it felt like I was a literal beast. It felt like I returned to MONKE, for lack of better words. And I'm definitely glad I was home alone because the growls turned into screams. And I just don't want anyone hearing that. So for about 5 hours, I was just writhing around in my bed, yelling. My hands were like crimping. My whole body felt tight, and I was just flopping around in my bed. And I don't know what the mushrooms were doing to me, but it felt like one of the biggest emotional purges of my life. It felt like I was releasing so much pent-up emotional anger and pain that I've had for years and years. I talked about my health issues a bit in my last video about shrooms a few years ago, but for those that don't know, I basically just have a shit ton of digestive issues, pun intended. My body doesn't really have a easy time getting rid of waste or going to the bathroom on its own. So I've been on medication for the last 6 or so years, and it's a double-edged sword because it lets me go to the bathroom, but I'm also in the bathroom for like half my day. So when it comes to things like appointments or work or job hunting, it's been nearly impossible this whole time. But anyways, yeah, I had all these feelings of anger and frustration coming up about how dissatisfied I am with my life, and the fact that this illness has had so much control over me. It's killed all my productivity. It's wasted so much of my time. And I'm young. I should be having so many experiences, but I'm literally handicapped by my body at this point. And realizing this made me so angry and fed up with how my body's been treating me. And at some point, I got up, I put my clothes on, and I just staggered outside in my backyard. I couldn't really walk that fluidly because my body was still so tight. So I was just stomping around, growling like an animal. It wasn't snowing outside, but it was pretty cold. So I just walked out in my backyard, still doing the breath work, still listening to theta waves, still screaming. I eventually collapsed on the grass, and I just stared at the sky and looked up at the stars. When I made it back inside, I just started talking to myself, telling myself affirmations, telling myself that I'm fine, and I repeated it over and over again. I was telling myself that my body was strong, that I'm going to be okay, that I'm in control, and I can make a conscious choice to change some aspects of my life. And when I would speak out loud to myself, I was still not very fluid when I spoke, so I'd still just growl and speak one word at a time, kind of like a caveman. And so I made it back to my bedroom. I'm just sitting there. This is probably about 5 to 6 hours into the trip. And another thing I noticed is that my grip strength was very strong. I could squeeze my fist really tight. I remember taking one of those forearm trainers that people use to train their forearms, and I just remember ripping the handles apart, and one of the metal handles just broke off. I don't know if that was me or if the handle was just really weak, but I'm pretty sure the mushrooms had something to do with it. After that, I went and got in the shower. I just sat on the shower floor in the fetal position. I just let the water just hit my head, and just still taking those deep primal breaths. And while I was in there, I started visualizing my life and how I would live without my medicine. I visualized myself getting up in the morning, going on a run or going outside, attempting to live my life as grounded and in sync with my body as possible. So at this moment, I made a pact with myself. I told myself I was going to go 5 whole days without taking my medicine. This trip was on a Sunday, so that meant I would basically have the whole week without taking it. So I got out of the shower, ate food, and before I went to bed, I made a plan to just get up and go to the gym as soon as I wake up. So tomorrow comes, and I get up at 8 a.m., I go straight to the gym, I work out, and since I didn't take my medicine, I had the whole day to myself, literally the whole day. And going from being in the bathroom until 3 to 4 p.m. every single day to having a whole day in front of me, that was an extremely surreal experience. And I haven't experienced living like that since maybe high school when I was 17. Now I'm almost 25 now, I'm 24. So that continued for 5 days, and my digestive system was not good, but it was manageable. It was a lot less bad than I thought it would be. And unfortunately, it did get to a point at the end of those 5 days where I did have to take my medicine again because my body just isn't getting rid of enough waste as it should be. And even though I had to go back on my medicine, the mushrooms did teach me a very important lesson. They taught me that not taking it isn't the end of the world. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to be in as much pain as I thought it would be. And I don't have to, restrict my food intake the night before. I don't take it. I don't have to fast these insane periods of time. And it just rewired some of the obsessive thoughts I had about my body. So currently now, if I want to sleep in or do something earlier in the day, I can just not take my medicine, and I know I'm going to be okay. It's so frustrating. I still have to rely on a medication for relief for pretty much my whole life, but, experiencing these brief moments of freedom is more than I thought I would ever experience, which is awesome. And yeah, that's that's my trip. That's what I learned from my mushroom trip. I hope it was somewhat interesting for you guys to listen to. If you want more trip reports or other psychedelic content, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, let me know, or subscribe or something. Also, my Discord is in the bio. Not the bio. My Discord is in the description. I have a psychedelic Discord. We're pretty chill in there. And that's where I'm usually spend most of my time. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.